Hey, how you doing? Let's talk about this game update because honestly, this new September 11 hotfix for InZOI, I'm going to walk you through every single thing that got fixed, explain what it actually does to your experience if you've been playing regularly, and share why some of these little tweaks are going to make the day-to-day flow of your city and your Zois feel way smoother. So settle in because there's a lot to unpack and it deserves a good conversation. Let's start with probably the most noticeable fix right away. Zoe's not going to school in Cahaya if their commute time didn't match up properly with the school start time. That sounds like a small detail, but anyone who's been playing knows how frustrating this has been. You set up your families, you give your kids routines, you want them to build up skills and progress, but then suddenly they just stop showing up for class because the game was reading the timing wrong. And it breaks immersion, and it makes you feel like your whole planning was wasted. Now the team has fixed it so the schedule aligns properly, and they did add a little note about existing save files. If your save was already affected, it might take up to 7 in-game days for the fix to actually kick in. That's a realistic warning, and I appreciate that transparency because nothing's worse than applying a patch and thinking it didn't work when in reality it just needs some time to reset in the background. So, for everyone who had kids skipping school nonstop, give it a week in-game, and you'll see them actually attend class like they're supposed to. Another issue that's been nagging at players is events canceling themselves in the schedule editor. Imagine you've been carefully setting up activities, planning social events, and suddenly the whole thing just vanishes for no reason. That's not only frustrating, it disrupts the entire purpose of having a detailed life simulator where planning and time management are key. That's been fixed now, which means events should stick properly once you've set them. It's one of those behind-the-scenes changes that makes the game feel a lot more reliable. And speaking of life events, let's talk about that weird bug where a Zoi would automatically quit their rabbit hole job if you initiated a get married conversation. This one always made me laugh because it was so random. You'd be planning a wedding, you'd be excited to move your characters forward in their relationships, and then suddenly they just give up their careers as if they can't possibly handle being married and employed at the same time. That's been fixed now, so you don't have to choose between love and work. Your Zois can keep their jobs while tying the knot, which is exactly how it should be. Fishing has also been given some attention, and this one matters to people who actually use that activity to grind rewards. Before, there was this intermittent bug where you'd successfully catch fish, but then not actually receive the reward you were supposed to get. That's a huge letdown because fishing is meant to be both a leisure activity and a way to progress. They've patched that now, so every successful fishing attempt should consistently give you what you earned. No more wasted time sitting by the water for nothing. Crops are another big area of life simulation, and a lot of players noticed that their plants were basically dying way too fast. The moisture levels would drop rapidly even after watering, and suddenly your whole farm looked like a wasteland. That has finally been corrected. Now when you water your crops, the game will properly recognize it, the moisture level won't tank instantly, and your plants should live the way they're supposed to. For people who enjoy the farming side of the game, this is a really satisfying fix. It makes tending crops less of a headache and more of a rewarding routine. One of the stranger problems involved dust from fires. If you've ever had a fire break out, you know it creates a mess, and the natural instinct is to clean it up afterward. But the game wasn't letting you. The dust just stuck around no matter what you did, almost like a scar from the fire that would never leave. That's been addressed, and now you can actually use the clean interaction to get rid of it. It might sound small, but it's one of those quality of life things that helps keep your game world tidy and realistic. Residential properties also got some attention. There was an intermittent issue where a Zoi's house would appear as completely empty, even though they lived there. That's immersion breaking and confusing, especially when you're trying to manage families across the city. The team noted that this bug might still appear if you're continuing from a save that was already hit by it, but it won't happen in any new saves created after this hotfix. And if you're still struggling with it in your existing game, there's actually a solution. Go into Edit City, open the All Families list, and use the Move Zoi Between Families feature. That should fix it. It's nice when they don't just say, "We fixed it," but also give you a workaround for the cases where the old bug lingers. There was also that odd moment where some Zois would just stand around doing absolutely nothing, ignoring their needs. You'd watch them slowly fall apart because they refused to eat, sleep, or interact, and it made you want to shake them out of it. That's fixed now, so Zois should actively fulfill their needs again, instead of standing around like statues. On top of that, There was this issue with completed urges not disappearing from the UI if the Zois who fulfilled them wasn't the one you were actively playing. It made the interface cluttered and confusing, almost like the game was telling you that goals were still pending, even though they weren't. That's been corrected too, so the urge system should feel more responsive and accurate. And let's talk food for a second, specifically at the Cahaya resort. Some food items there didn't give you the eat interaction at all. Imagine your Zoe is starving, there's food in front of them, and the game just refuses to acknowledge it. That issue's been fixed, at least for food in non-residential lots. So if you're dining out, you can expect everything to work normally now. One of the funniest bugs that's been haunting the game has finally been fixed too. Deceased Zois sending text messages. If a character died, but they had relationships before passing, the game would sometimes still generate text from them as if nothing had happened. It was spooky, funny, and really immersion breaking. Now that's been fixed, so the dead will finally stay quiet. City travel also had some intermittent problems where features would behave abnormally. Maybe you try to move between locations and something strange would happen that broke the flow. That's been smoothed out, which means traveling around should feel more stable and less glitchy. Lights flickering on streets or properties was another immersion-breaking detail that has now been patched. It wasn't constant, but when it happened, it felt like your entire city had electrical issues. That should no longer be the case, so the world will look more natural and less like a haunted neighborhood. Mods also got a mention in the patch notes. Some mods that changed specific data were making Zoes refuse to engage in conversations or making interactions fail completely. That's now been resolved, so mod users should have a more stable experience. It's always nice when developers make sure the game cooperates with community mods rather than breaking them outright. Build mode players are going to appreciate a couple of fixes too. First, the auto-scrolling issue where the screen would keep moving while you were trying to place furniture made building super frustrating. That's now fixed, so you should have way more control when decorating your spaces. There was also a problem with the hallway floor in Atom Entertainment not being visible. It was just missing, which looked wrong and unfinished. That's been fixed as well. And then there was the turtle figure object not being placeable on small or medium shelves, which sounds minor, but when you're trying to decorate and things don't behave the way you expect, it really pulls you out of the creative flow. That's working correctly now, so you can display that little turtle wherever you want. Canvas, the connected feature, also got a couple of important fixes. One issue was that if you tried to upload a preset with the wrong file path, there was no error message at all. It just failed silently, leaving you confused. Now the game will actually show you an error pop up so you know what went wrong. Another issue was downloads not starting if you scheduled them via the web canvas before launching the game. Basically, you'd set it up online, open the game, and then nothing would happen. That's been fixed, so downloads should now begin properly after you launch. All of these fixes might look like just a list of small details, but together they really change how reliable and smooth the whole experience feels.